It's time.
It's time, yeah. It's time for this. It's time for the Pantelis Podcast. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Remember that Anthony Cumia's book, Permanently Suspended, is out in bookstores and on Amazon right now. Get that. Head over to compoundmedia.com to get an autographed version of it. I don't even have an autographed version. I have one that's not autographed, and I got to take it down with me in New York to get it signed by Cumia himself. My guest today, good friend, know her for a while. She's been doing comedy for a while, and she's also doing a lot of fitness stuff, which we're going to talk about today, is Tatyana La.
Yay.
So yeah, I know that you've started, because I know that you have the Instagram account and you're training, you're showing videos of you doing workouts, but you also do personal training. You grab people and train them.
Yeah, so I do pretty much everything. I mean, I haven't been doing that forever, right? So I'm just trying to figure out what works best for me and for people. And like, I'm open to everything, really. I'm like constantly researching things. I used to teach karate classes, so.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of incorporate some of those things when I do training.
Like karate, like beating people up? You incorporate
Nah.
that? You're like, I have ways to motivate.
Yeah, I have ways, but unless they ask, I don't know. I just, I haven't been training people for long, but I've done sports. Like sports has been part of my life since I was a kid, really. So I've tried so many things, and I'm trying to incorporate every bit of information that I have from different types of sports and the knowledge I have. So
you've been into that stuff before you got into comedy?
Yeah, I mean, sports, yeah. Not necessarily personal training. I would say, like, I started going to an actual gym, like 3 years ago, maybe 4. Because I was one of those people that was like, I hate gyms, I hate weights, I hate machines, I hate, like, the atmosphere. Like, they're all douchebags there, and I'll just do, like...
A lot of that is correct.
Yes, I still agree, but, like, now I actually like going to a gym. So that's changed, but yeah.
You know who hangs out at the gym a lot? Poseidon.
Oh,
Yeah.
word?
Yeah. Now, you're wondering, why does he look the way he looks?
Yes.
Because nutrition is not part of his regimen.
Yeah, like, people will tend to think that to lose weight, like, you have to do, like, a little bit of diet, a little bit of strength training, and a lot of cardio, which is false.
Oh, is it? Okay, you give me the tips. I want to know.
I think that you should do a little bit of cardio, a lot of strength training, and even more nutrition.
Okay.
I think nutrition is the most important one. That people tend to, I mean, a lot of people are into it, but a lot of people tend to overlook it. They're like, oh, I work out like 3 times a week. Why should I give a shit if I eat a hamburger,
Right.
But
that would be the best, though. If you could just work out and eat whatever you want.
Yeah, for sure.
But I know people who eat whatever they want and they're fit. Explain that to me. Explain that wizardry to me.
I'm one of those people.
There we go.
Yeah. So I think it's just...
What kind of bullshit are you peddling?
I'm going to sound like
I
a
want
dick,
to
but,
know the goddamn regimen you're on.
Honestly, I've been cut since straight out the womb. Okay,
So you
like,
just, it's hard for you to gain weight.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only time I gained weight was, I've honestly been the same height, same weight since I was 13 years old. Same feet size, everything.
Interesting.
The only time I gained weight was when I was like 14, 15. And
Pregnancy?
Birth control pill.
Ah, that fucks your whole system up.
It fucks you up, man. Like, I gained like 20 pounds. And like for like a 15-year-old girl, like it shows, right? And you're like, what the fuck? Even my dad told me at one point, he's like, you're starting to be a bit chubby. I was like, what? No?
But yeah, 20 pounds, that's a lot.
Yeah.
What is that? That completely fucks with women, huh? That it changes their whole hormonal structure and all that stuff?
Oh, yeah. I'm really against that now. Yeah.
Now that you know.
Now that I know, because I tried, like, I mean, not to go into too much details, but, like, when I started taking a pill when I was, like, 14, 15, I was wearing, like, double D size bra, like, at such a young age, right? So, like, I would stand out a lot, and, like, I was so embarrassed.
Oh, shit.
Like, I was really ashamed because I was, like, the only one, or the other ones would be, like, the bigger girls, right? So I was like really ashamed of that. And then at one point I stopped, and then I took the shots, like the injections,
I didn't know they. What do you mean? They do shots instead of birth control pills?
Yeah.
I didn't even know this kind of shit.
Yeah. It's called Depo-Provera. It's a shot you get every 3 months. So it's way better than a pill, theoretically, because instead of taking a pill every day, you just get a shot every 3 months and you don't think about
That's
it.
fucking great. It sounds like we're sterilizing people. That's insane.
Yeah. It's pretty much that, though. Because I took that. I lost a bunch of weight. I deflated, like, from everywhere from all the gain all the weight that I gained.
Did you know that it was the pill that made you gain weight?
No.
Or you thought maybe you're just growing up?
I mean, a bit of both. I guess I was like, I guess like I'm taking on these extra hormones and I'm growing, so it's probably like
A mix of both.
a mix. But so anyway, yeah, the shot. I was like, it sounds great. Like just the injections every 3 months, and then I started losing a bunch of weight. And another of my friend that took it, same thing to her. So I was like, maybe that's a thing. So I started researching it, and turns out that not only does it fuck up your whole like reproductive systems, like I would stop getting periods altogether, and it gives you long term gives you osteoporosis.
What the fuck?
Because apparently it eats away your bone marrow. So I was like, all right, I guess I'll stop that.
I don't know why this isn't like commonly known. This should be common knowledge. This is the kind of shit they should teach you in school.
Yeah, but they don't, because I don't know why. They have a certain ideology they have to teach, I guess. And
That's a little absurd.
yeah, and now I'm like really against. I mean, now I'm against like there's a whole other conversation, but I'm really against like everything pill, everything.
You're against pharmaceuticals. Most
Yeah.
people are. I don't trust those cocksuckers either.
No. And it's funny because I'm one of those people that believe in like a more like natural way of life, if that means anything, but like just avoiding things that I don't think we need necessarily,
Such as?
I don't know, like Advil, like antibiotics, like all those things that are overprescribed.
Well, antibiotics, they are overprescribed, but don't we still need them? Haven't they cured a lot of stuff? Haven't they saved us from a lot of things that would kill us normally?
Yeah. No, I agree. When you know, I mean, there's nothing 100% in the medical field, but when you know, let's say 99% that you have this type of infection or virus, and then they give you an antibiotics and it goes away.
Yeah.
But it also kills a lot of good stuff that you have, because they have to kill everything. It's kind of like chemo. They'll kill your bad cells, but they'll also kill your good cells.
Yeah,
like
chemo I don't like.
On a much bigger scale, right? But still. Where was I going with this?
Just that you're not fully against it, I guess. You're just against overusing it.
Yeah, like one time I started having this huge rash on my thigh. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't eat anything. So whatever. I went to the walk-in clinic. And then this girl, like, not to discredit her, but the doctor, like, she was really young, like, straight out of med school type of thing. She was like, I don't know what it is. So she prescribed me legit 4 different medications.
4?
4.
That do completely different things?
Completely different things. And every medication has a side effect, right? So I'm like, okay, but which one do I think? She's like, take all of them. I'm not sure what it is. So it's probably one of these 4 things. So I'm like, why would I take 4 medications that you don't even know will work? Like, why would I put that thing in my body that I'm like, is not necessary?
This says more about our healthcare system than anything else, really. That is fucked up.
Yeah, because I don't know. So I didn't take it.
Yeah, obviously.
Most people would. But I tend to question everything, and I guess sometimes it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing sometimes, but...
No, I think it's better to question shit, and then you figure out what's good and what's bad instead of just taking everything they give you.
Yeah, and
right?
you become gullible, right? So, yeah, so these people have education, so it's normal to think that, they have all the answers, but... So anyway, I didn't take those medications. I'm like, let me see if it goes away, like, in a few days. And it didn't. So she's like, come back in, like, a day or 2.
Was it big?
Yeah, it was like
so
this big. Like, it was a rash on my thigh.
That's your whole thigh. That's huge.
Yeah, like yeah. So she's like, come back and we'll see like how it's going. Like, cause if it gets bigger, like it's a problem. So I'm like, okay. So I go back and it's still the same thing. And it was even hot actually. So to me, when it's hot, it's like, it should be like a virus, something. She's like, oh, I don't know. She's like, let me go get another doctor. I was like, thank God.
Somebody else comes in. He's like, it's AIDS.
Yeah, you know. So this other doctor comes in and she's like, oh, first of all, she asked me, she's like, did you take the medication I told you to? I'm like, no. She's like, why? Oh my God. I'm like, is there something natural I could take for that? She's like, she literally scuffed.
She's like, yeah, pour some water on your thighs.
Yeah, exactly. She's like,
you fucking
hippie. They don't learn that, right? So the other doctor was like, oh, it's fungi. I'm like, okay. So she gives me like a fungi
antifungal cream.
Yeah. So she gives me that. I'm like, okay. And she's like, come back tomorrow. We'll see how it progresses. So I'm like, okay. And then she's like, the first doctor, the young one, she's like, I'll be here tomorrow, but only in the morning. If you come at night, it will be a different doctor. I was like, I can only come at night. I didn't want to see her.
Yeah, obviously.
So I put the cream. I come back the next day. Same thing. Didn't grow or regressed. And then this guy, it was like an older man, gray hair, you know, like long gray hair with like a low ponytail.
This is a doctor?
A doctor.
He sounds like he's, you're describing an 80s drug dealer.
I was going to say 80s like ethics teacher because he had like one of those like wallpaper kind of
shirts.
Yeah.
The vest.
Yeah, like corduroy, like pants.
Yeah, he came
long gray ponytail. Anyway.
Life is what you make it, really.
So I'm like, dude, like, I don't know. He looked like one of those hippies. I was like, all right, here we go.
That's actually good for you. He might give you some natural shit. Be like, look, you're gonna fucking grab a cat, let it lick you, put some olives on there. You're good. You're good.
Funny anecdote. I used to have a cat that was obsessed with olives.
Oh, really?
Every time you open an olive jar, it goes nuts.
Interesting. These fucking animals. Weird what they get into.
Animals. I don't know. So anyway, I go see that doctor, and he takes a look at me 2 seconds. He's like, "Did you go to like a public spa recently?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "How long ago?" I was like, "I don't know, like 6-7 days ago." He's like, "It's one of those infections that you catch in public spas."
What do you mean? There's infections specifically for public spas?
Yeah.
What?
That's what he told me. I was like, what? It's funny that in 2 seconds he looked at my rash and he's like, did you go to a spa? I didn't tell him anything.
It's funny. He's like, yes, it's called herpes. And you're like, what? It's not in spas. Not exclusively. It's
like in high school, my friend was dating this guy. It was like the first guy she ever dated, right? And the guy was telling her the same thing. And then she caught chlamydia.
Oh, God.
And I was like, well, isn't that a sign that, like, he's going around, you know? And she's like, oh, but he told me he caught it on a toilet seat. I was like...
Yeah, that's a believable scenario. Then again, it could be, but it's such an unlikely
scenario. But why
scenario.
would it be called sexually transmitted disease?
Yeah, but he could have been having sex on a toilet seat. You didn't get the full story is the problem.
Yeah,
he could have been saying the truth.
That's true.
He could have been 100% honest.
Just avoiding certain parts.
Yeah, he's like, I guarantee you I got this on a toilet seat. That's it.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, carrying on with this hippie doctor, I'm curious.
So yeah, this hippie doctor was like, oh, take this. I honestly forget if it was an antibiotic. But anyway, he's like, take this. It was like 2-3 days.
I like that. Take this.
He's like, it should be fine. So I trusted him, and I took it, and it went away.
Interesting that the female doctor you had no respect for, but you respected the man.
She must have been a bad driver also.
What's going on here? What's going on? You're not helping the cause.
I believe in people, not in genders.
I think you don't believe in the lady doctors.
No. Well, the 2 ladies were wrong.
Yeah.
Because I told him, I'm like, this other lady
It's often like
me...
that, but it's very hard to tell them.
Yeah. I told him, I'm like, this other lady gave me this antifungal cream. He's like, stop that.
Is that's you told her? I wonder what he was thinking. He's like, who are these idiots that work in the day?
You know?
You said she was fresh out of school. I think what happens is you learn a lot through the years of doing. You're like, I could solve. It's just like any job.
Well, like fitness, right? There's some people will like ask me certain questions. I'm like, I have yet to experience this. Like I don't know. Like the only thing we know for sure is that we don't know anything, right? So
yeah. Well, I mean, in fitness at least, you know how to. If somebody comes to you and they're like, I want to become stronger, faster, and thinner. It's pretty vague, but at least that helps you, right? You're like, all right, stronger, faster, thinner. Okay, we got to get you running. We got to get you eating better. And we got to get you lifting shit, right? That's what I think in my head when I just describe that.
Basically, yeah.
I could be a fitness trainer is what you're telling me.
There's more complex things, but
I need to know more.
There's a lot of people that train people that are not certified, and like, although like the certification is just like a, it's not like a master's degree, but like it gives you a good basis of fundamentals that you need to know.
What do you say about the people who say that fitness, much like global warming, is a myth?
There's people that say that?
It's just me. I'm the person.
What do you say to Pantelis?
Yeah, what are you telling me to get me to think straight? I want to ask you your Instagram, because you have an Instagram account just for fitness, separate from comedy.
Yeah, I need to get better at that. I'm kind of like, I'm a free spirit.
I was going to ask you what the strategy is towards that.
I don't have a strategy, and that's a shame.
Because I have friends who, they have like huge followings, YouTube videos, they do, and their fitness, self-defense. Like my buddy Nick Drosos is big in self-defense. He has a whole community that loves him and a big YouTube following. But he has his structure is, okay, I'm going to release an episode of this each week, each Monday, let's say. I'm going to do this on Instagram. There's going to be motivational quotes here. There's going to be healthy living here, all that stuff. So they have like strategy. It's more like, yo, this is what I'm doing at the gym.
Yeah.
But are you thinking of doing like, okay, it's fucking workout Wednesdays and it's fucking healthy eating Fridays or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot of, you need to be consistent, which I'm not.
I hear that. Same here.
I have a very like scattered mind, and like I'm like, okay, today I'm gonna post like a lot of videos fitness, and then I'll forget about it for 2 weeks. But I don't know. I need to like sit down with myself and be like, okay, I'm gonna do this day and like this type of video, and like, because the market is so saturated with everything. It's hard to differentiate yourself. So really,
especially on Instagram.
Especially on Instagram.
It's butts and cake. That's what Instagram is. It's pictures of cake and butts.
Yeah. And I feel like on one hand, I'm like, I need to be different. But on the other hand, I'm like, the formula that works is butts.
Yeah.
So
I don't know, man.
I'm figuring shit out. And yeah.
It's a weird rabbit hole because I posted a funny video a couple of weeks ago. And then I was looking at it. I was like, oh, fuck, look at this. The butt video has way more views than I do. Mm-hmm. And then my buddy was like, you think that's funny? Look at this piece of chocolate cake. It has 9,000 likes, bro. It's way better than the comedy video too. So it's a cake and asses. That's all. So what I would recommend is you do videos. There needs to be asses involved and cake at the same time. So you cut both demographics.
About eating?
No, because then that's counterproductive. That's counterproductive. That's you not being fit.
Or isn't that overproductive?
You have to have a piece of cake and then someone trying to get it. And then asses, and you're working out, and you're like, look, you can't get this cake unless you work out, something like that. And then people who like cake will be there, people who like butts will be there, people who like fitness will be there, and then everyone else is going to be there too, because they'll be like, why is this in my feed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
That's how you change the game up.
Yeah. I started doing, last year, I guess, or beginning of this year, I started doing like some home workout videos. Like I was taking like miscellaneous objects and just incorporating them into like fitness, and it was starting I was starting to get like quite a lot of feedback on it, and like people liked it and stuff. I stopped. Why?
Those were actually cool, yeah. And you go to the park too. I remember you had your dog involved as well.
Yeah.
But I remember I would see you. It's like, oh fuck, she's doing handstands. I'm eating pizza. I feel like a piece of garbage.
That's good. That's the goal. I need to make people feel like shit so they come see me.
I remember that happened once. I was eating pizza and then you were doing hands. You'd be like, I was like, what the fuck, man? What am I doing?
Yeah, I eat pizza too sometimes, so I just,
So what's the strategy? What's your long term? Do you want to get into fitness, personal training? You just want to be the DDP of Montreal? What do you want to do?
That's DDP.
DDP, Diamond Dallas Page. He was a wrestler. He does the yoga thing now. He's helped a lot of people get back into shape and into health. There was one ex-military guy who couldn't even walk.
Oh.
Yeah, and now he's running. Yeah.
Oh, good for him.
Modern day saint, the DDP. Right.
Oh, I'll look him up. But, I mean, I have a lot of different thoughts and projects. I'd like to maybe open a thing where, like, I can teach. I'd like to get, like, a yoga teaching certification as well. And, like, I'd like to do something where I can teach martial arts and fitness and nutrition and yoga and, like, kind of make it a whole thing, because that's all things I'm super interested in and I'm learning constantly about. And
well, what are you missing? You're missing certification for yoga. How hard is it to get that certification? Bunch of fucking hippies. You could bully them into it.
Yeah.
Like
I can just walk and be like, listen, I'm here.
yeah, come here, Dalai Lama. Just certify me.
But it's actually I'm not. I've been thinking about it for I would say at least 6 years, and it's expensive. It's like
Really?
at least 2 Gs, 3 Gs.
Why don't you start your own fucking thing? Why do you got to be certified with them? You're not even doing what they're doing.
It's because people want paper, even if it doesn't mean anything. Like I honestly could teach myself how to teach yoga.
Yeah,
but
but
just by
don't
research.
call it yoga. Call it Tats yoga or some shit like
Yeah.
that, or Tats fitness.
The union of your mind and body by Tatyana.
That's too hippie. You're gonna get the wrong kind of people. You're gonna get fucking people in there who are like, well, I don't need to be fit here. I just gotta be fit up here.
Yeah.
So you don't need that. You need to do something like Fitness by Tatyana.
I still want people that like shave.
That's why Fitness by Tatyana, and you have a cool logo, right?
Yeah.
3D logo maybe. It's fucking. There's depth to it.
Really.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then people are like, yo, Fitness by Tatyana. That's what I want to do. Because nobody get like my trainers and stuff. Like I don't go to like Nick. I'm like, yeah, Nick, show me a certificate. I don't give a shit. I trust him.
No,
I see the results.
Exactly. Yeah.
The
That's why
results
social
speak for
media
themselves.
is important because I could just like keep posting things and people like gain their trust
Yeah.
with those butt videos.
Yeah, but it's you. I'm just saying you don't need to do what they're doing. You need to do it. We have how many yoga studios do we have here?
Too many.
Too many. But we have a Tatyana Fitness Center where you could learn how to defend yourself and do yoga and all that. We don't have any of them, as far as I know.
Yeah.
So that's what you gotta look into.
There's also I really want to go to schools and teach fitness to schools. You know, they have those extracurricular activities like during lunchtime or whatever.
Like high schools.
Even elementary schools. And
Always gonna be paying attention in elementary. What you can tell.
I feel like it's the opposite.
Eat
because
your
you have more
salary?
authority
but
as an adult. I mean, I have zero authority, but like...
But only for those, like that hour. After that, they're going to be eating cake and not exercising.
Yeah, but at least it plants the seed, you know?
You're a seed planter.
Yeah, because I mean, from my experience, I went to whatever shitty public school and you know, I never learned anything about fitness. We played badminton or ball hockey and phys ed, and that's about it.
Yeah, I went to a shitty private school, and what I learned about fitness was you're fat. I was like, all right, well,
Yeah.
thank you, Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Yeah. So is he a real science guy?
Is he a real science guy? Yeah, you're right, though. They don't teach you a lot in elementary about nutrition and fit, like the actual things. Even in high school, they didn't really teach us a lot.
No.
I think I was talking with Mike Ward about this the other day.
Unless maybe you're in sport études or...
Yeah, they don't really teach you most skills, the important skills that you're going to use in the rest of your life. They don't teach you that shit in high school where that's where they should teach you. They teach
Like
you nonsense.
taxes.
Yeah, I was saying the same thing. Taxes, they don't fucking teach you. Balancing your checkbook, you know, why you shouldn't just fucking put everything on a credit card. All that. They never teach you any of that shit.
Yeah.
But they tell you about the fur trade. What are you selling some fucking fur? How many of us are fur traders?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Did you see they opened a Canada Goose store on St. Catherine and Peel where the HMV used to be?
Oh, is that what they opened there?
Yeah, and
I miss HMV.
I thought it was pretty funny because on the first day it opened, there was protests.
What were they protesting? We want
The
our CDs
fur.
back.
No, fur.
Is it real fur that Canada Goose uses?
Yeah. So there was protests, like I just saw like a quick article, and the next day I walked in front of it, and there was a lineup to get in.
Oh man, they just gave.
It's like,
They just brought the attention that they wanted. Canada Goose was like, this is amazing for us.
yeah.
Where do you stand on that?
I'm obviously against it, and I mean.
But are you against it by voting with your wallet? Like, I will not buy that product? Or are you against it to the point where you're like, I'm going to go protest outside?
I'm not going to go protest because I don't think it's... Not that it's counterproductive, but like... I feel like there's more impact if they start to lose sales than just like being angry. It's like with, you know, like for example, because I know that space, I guess, but like with vegan people, a lot of them are like preachers.
Yeah.
And for me, like if someone's gonna preach something down my throat, I'm gonna like, fuck you, I'll do what I want. Like,
yeah.
So.
Vegans do have that problem. I know one good vegan. And the rest, garbage human beings.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like I'm happy not to give them my money, and that's the part I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm becoming more of a hippie in that sense. Like I think Mike Ward is making me change my mind a lot on meat because I do, even though I'm a huge carnivore, I'm Greek, so I grew up eating all kinds of meat. I started to feel bad more for animals.
Yeah. Which I think is the best reason you could stop,
Yeah, I don't give a fuck about anything else. Me, it's just the animals. That's what I care. Because I'm not eating, generally when I eat meat, I'll eat good meat. So it's not a health thing.
What do you mean by good meat?
Like I'll eat good meat. I'll eat expensive meat. I don't eat no more red meat. I don't eat beef. So I mostly eat chicken. I'll eat fish. I'll eat I avoid red meat now because I read a lot about what it does to you inside and how hard it is for your body to get rid of it. It takes a while. So I avoid that shit. So I'll eat a lot of chicken, some pork from time to time, but mostly fish, chicken, that kind of stuff. Get some protein. But there's other ways of getting protein too. Yeah. It's not as delicious though. That's the problem, Tats.
Listen,
those chickens are goddamn delicious.
Yeah, I know. I always love the taste of meat. That's not what I'm debating. It's just there's no argument that's gonna make me overlook the fact that these animals are tortured and they cut their beaks off and their head off.
Yeah, you see, that's when I think about that, then it makes me feel terrible. That's why I disassociate.
Yeah,
I pretend like it's not a real thing.
Yeah, and we're such like it's either you eat meat because you're in denial or because you don't care.
Yeah.
That's really what it is, because there's no like I was born for this or blah blah. Like, you think your animal was born to feed you?
I was thinking the same thing because of my dog mostly, because I'm like, that's so weird. Like, it's, it remembers, it thinks, it's adorable, it knows me. Like, it has a conscious, like it's self-aware.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was like, fuck that. Well, self-aware as much as a dog can be. But I was like, fuck, it's interesting because then we're literally just slaughtering all these.
We're choosing.
Yeah, we're choosing.
We're praising and killing.
Based on cuteness. Like the real world. I mean, I only got ahead because these fucking looks.
Yeah.
Very underqualified.
Yeah.
This is it. This is all that got me here. But no, you're right. It is. Also, I keep changing my mind. The older I get, I change my mind on a lot of stuff. Like a nurse was making me think about abortion. I never thought about abortion. It's kind of like a distant thing. I was like, yeah, do whatever the hell you want. It doesn't do with me, right? And then it wasn't an argument. It was more of just a chat. When she was like, no, like, she was giving me the difference of stages, like late-term abortion, all that. And she's like, no, it is a baby. And I was like, nah, but it's not. It's like, no, it is a baby. If you let it go,
At what point does she say it's a baby?
Well, her thing was, and it actually did make sense to me, was it was pretty early that it was a baby, because she goes, if you would let it go, that's what would happen. It would end up being a baby. And also, that's what you're doing. That's what you're aborting. She goes, you're aborting. Like, the second you go past, I think you could take the morning after pill or whatever before all the cells are formed.
Right.
She knew this better than I did, but she did make a compelling thing. I was like, oh fuck, that is a good point. About how it's a baby. It's a baby in stages, and then midway through, you're like, fuck it, this is gone. So I was like, I never thought about it that way. She's like, yeah, nobody does, because it's distant. You just thought it's a thing to do. It's like, oh, yeah, you can just abort it, Right. But she goes, that's why we have, prophylactics. And she was saying, like, there's different things, birth control, but like there's different things that you could do to not get to the stage where you're cutting the baby's thing short. And I was like, oh, it's weird that I guess guys like me never thought about it, because it's never an issue for us.
Yeah.
It's normally women that will argue about it, and then you have like maybe an old guy or old women who argue against or for. They have like their own agendas, but it's never like the regular populace like even in school, they never really informed us of what happens and this and that. So I was never conscious about it.
Depending on which school you go to, because I guess some more religious schools will tell you it's a sin and whatnot.
Yeah, they never told us it was a sin, but I know that mine was a French Catholic school. So I guess that's why they never even brought it up. And I was never like for or against. I was just like, it's not my business what another person does, And now it's still not my business. But now that I know more, I'm more like, oh, fuck, yeah, you should do everything you can to avoid getting to that stage. Because I feel like as a woman, not for me, but I feel like if I feel guilty thinking about it, that will probably destroy a woman. Like the guilt of if you think the same way, you think like, oh fuck, this could have been my kid, it could have been whatever.
Right, but you could go a long way with like coulda, woulda, shoulda, I think. And
but that's me. Maybe other people don't overthink it. They're like, it's done.
I don't know how to explain it, but like for me, it's personally never happened to me, so I have that certain point of view, but I've never experienced it. So, but to me, it's not like a living thing. Like it's just, I mean,
But you see, disassociating, right? Like
yeah,
I do with
because like
chicken.
with chicken, you see the finished product, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's food. It wasn't an animal before,
Right,
But
yeah,
like
exactly.
You just deny the whole process that it got to that end product, right?
But I know that now. I know that I'm wrong. I know that was a goddamn chicken.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how I started start thinking about stop becoming vegetarians, because every time I would eat it, I was like, fuck. Like I started feeling bad, and then went from there. But for abortions, maybe it's just like my spiritual side thinking, and like we believe whatever we want. But like I read a lot of philosophy, and
Like abortion philosophy?
no, no, but just like life philosophy, and like the idea that we're just like souls carrying corpses. I kind of dig that, and I don't think that the soul entered the fetus at the point of the abortion.
Okay, that's interesting.
I think it's just like a it's nothing. Like it's
like
just
a vessel?
It's it's like a yeah.
But then you see, we're doing this. You're doing the same thing I do with chicken.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Or with egg, because I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But chicken eggs, you know the eggs we eat. Mm-hmm. Aren't those supposed to be fertilized and become like actual chickens, right? How does that work?
I read so many conflicting arguments
for chickens,
about that.
for eggs, yeah. Because I don't understand. Because
I'll eat eggs like here and there.
Right? So that's what I'm saying. Like, why? Or people that are like, oh, you can't eat eggs. I don't want to eat nothing from an animal. So if you can't eat an egg because it would have become a chicken, but the abortion wouldn't have become a human. You see, that's what I'm saying. Is it's always in a mixed bag. You never find someone except for that nurse who was like, she's like, my view was 100% on abort, and now she's like super against it. But she has to work in that field, and she's But she's seen some crazy shit. She says like a small. Like I think if I would see like a small like a baby like that, like a small fetus like this or whatever, man, I think that would traumatize the fuck out of me. Already photos fuck with me. If I would see a small one, I'd be like, I'm done. I'm changing career.
That's why they drug you up for an abortion. I have
new career.
Man,
I would do something completely different. Be like, I can't be a nurse. I can't be part of abortions. I'm fucking working at a hair salon. I'm done.
Yeah.
Happy conversations.
Yeah.
So it is crazy. But then, you know what the other argument is? The other argument, it's more for you can't just ban something globally because there's the instances where you need to have a place where that needs to happen.
Yeah.
Let's say somebody gets raped, for example, right? And doesn't want to, even though it sucks to say you're going to kill a kid, it's, why not? It's still a baby. But you don't know how that kid would grow up with the mother who would always be thinking of, that kid
of where that kid comes from.
That kid comes with that, and that could fuck up the kid too, Like you can't make that decision for like, oh no, you have to live with this kid, So if you ban completely, then you remove the option of, or maybe if you find out early on that the kid's going to be super fucked up, a lot of problems, going to live a very unhealthy life, and it might not survive past 5. There's a lot of kids that like a huge, a lot of handicap. And you're like, I don't want the kid to grow up and then die. It's terrible. So if you don't have these places ready, and then everything has to go back to the underground, you put the people that are going to get the abortions at risk also. Do you know? Yeah. So that's why it can't be a cut all like no more abortions, or yes.
Yeah,
everyone.
It can be a method of contraception.
Exactly.
It can be birth control.
It should not be birth control, and it should not be zero tolerance.
It should be in case of emergency type of thing.
Yeah, there should be reasons. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. It could be, everybody's going to have their own opinion. People are going to tell me, fuck you, I decide, or whatever. I'm not deciding for people. I'm just telling you, the more I learn, because I used to not have opinions on it, the more I learn, the more I'm like, maybe I should stop disassociating.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy how we got from fitness to abortions. What the fuck? Oh yeah, because of birth control. That's why. Because I was thinking, why did it even get in my head?
Man, they drug you up when they give abortions because.
Well, they have to go in, right? How's the coat hanger going to get in painlessly?
Man, but now they started giving because it's unfortunate to say, but I know maybe too many people that had abortions, and now they're giving fentanyl as a drug.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah.
That's even fentanyl itself is dangerous.
Yes.
Oh fuck.
So one of my friend that got an abortion now, she's like, man, I understand why there's a fentanyl crisis, because that shit is bomb.
It's addictive.
She's like,
crazy,
I loved it. I wanted more. She's like, I couldn't give a shit about the abortion.
I know a lot of people that died because of it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's fucked up.
But
like, why can't they, like, just like freeze, like numb that area? They don't want you to be like I don't know, mentally there, I guess.
Yeah, because I'm telling you,
Because it's a traumatic
thing,
experience. Because a lot of people will think that they're killing their own baby, which is fucked. But
which I guess, I mean, the argument there is: are you killing or are you stopping from are you
stopping from growing?
Yeah, like are you stopping the race or you're preventing someone from starting the race? You know, that's because the race technically hasn't started. You could think of,
but that's
right?
just a play on words, right?
Yeah,
It means the same thing.
Yeah, technically, I guess, yeah, you would be killing a baby, but it's like I said, that's why they should teach in schools more about contraceptives, like what you should be doing as not just an adult, but as a mature person who's having sex, you know, to prevent shit like that. Instead of like, I know in Catholic schools they're scared to talk about shit, right? Because here's another thing that people don't want to take responsibility, right? Like I said, we disassociate for certain subjects. But same thing with people who are in charge. When in schools, certain religious schools were refusing to talk about condoms, this and that. Because like, if we don't talk about sex, maybe they won't have it, which is not true. Because biologically, humans are going to have sex.
Yeah.
So all you're doing is getting them to be ashamed, so they're not going to go get condoms, this and that. A mistake's going to happen where someone's going to fall pregnant.
Yeah.
She's going to be like, holy fuck, my parents went to school, they're going to kill me, they're going to shame me, whatever happens. And then she has to go through the abortion. She's the one who has to deal with consequences, whether it's psychological, whether it's physical, depending on the doctor, all that stuff, when she did it, you know. And you didn't want to take responsibility to just educate the kids into what they could have done. It could have avoided all this, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a crazy subject to get into because there's so much. Here, it's not as bad as in the States. I think Degrassi Junior High taught me a lot when I was growing up.
Right?
Because they would talk about shit,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And even that, I remember when they were, like, the people protesting when the girl was getting an abortion. And I was like, look at these fucking assholes, you know, like, protesting that. And then as I grew, I'm like, I understand both sides. I understand her. She can't be in the situation where she, you know, has the kid.
Imagine having a kid at 15.
You see, that's the thing. The kid's not going to have the best life.
No.
The kid's not going to. But even, you know what?
But I mean, no one has a best life.
But
like, there's always, like, shit that's going to happen throughout your life, but you're reducing your...
More power to those young moms, though. Because you know what kind of guts that fucking takes when you're like, you know what? Because a lot of times if you have the kid early, 15, 17, what happens is if you're going to have it, the woman is mature enough to have it. It doesn't mean that she has a job or whatever, but she's mature enough to be like,
right.
I want to take care of this. But a lot of times the guy, because, you know, we talk about who's smarter, guys or girls. There's a huge period where when they're the same age, women are a lot smarter than, you know what I'm talking about? Like those, and
that gap.
That gap of the end of teen years where the women have already mentally been there and the guys are still fucking cavemen.
Yeah.
So there's no way that guy is going to help properly. He's a little fucking retard.
Yeah.
So those women that take that responsibility and like, fuck this guy, I'm doing it myself, that's fucking... That kind of shit should be honored, like commended. You know, that's crazy behavior.
Don't you think it's a bit selfish at the same time? Whereas, yes, it's the girl that's being pregnant and everything, but she's choosing for that kid not to have a father. At
the same time, she's also choosing for that kid to experience life, right?
Yeah.
So she's like, I made a mistake because I went with this fucking Neanderthal. Now, should I choose to end the kids? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, why am I going to choose? I made my
That's a good
mistake.
point.
Fuck it. Now I'm dedicating everything to the kid. I know a lot of single moms like that had done that when they were in high school.
Right.
And they became the best moms, though. They work super hard. They're
for
super
sure.
involved
Like,
with the kid.
So many women need to be like applauded for that, and men too that raise their kid on their own. Like,
yeah, but most of the ones that I know, those young guys that did it, they're fucking. They forget that they even have a kid. Like, it's just Neander. But that's the thing. There's a certain gap that happens. What is it, like late teens, early, where the women are, because I think the men take longer to fully develop their frontal lobe.
I think they fully develop. Was it like 23?
For men?
Yeah.
I think, it was either
And girls, it's like 17
Yeah.
or something. Yeah.
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 It's fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy, like the topics we're getting into. I thought we were going to just stick on fitness, but it's good. We're talking about philosophy. We're talking about abortions.
Yeah, everything.
Speaking of abortions, which is I've never had that segue.
Good segue.
There was a movie. Remember Dean Cain, the guy who played Superman in the Superman TV show? Back in the day with Lois Lane, I think it was called Lois and Clark Superman.
What year was this?
This was in the 90s. This was before your time.
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah.
This was in the 90s. There was a show. He was like the first, when I was growing up, like the main TV super person, right? And this was after the old Batman show with Adam West, you know, because it was in the 90s. But it was a good show. It was a fun show at the time. I bet you if I watch it now, the Superman show, it'll be garbage. But at the time, he was Superman.
Okay.
It was, I think, after Christopher Reeve. So he was in a movie. I think he helped produce it recently. It was called Gosnell or Gosnelli or something. Apparently, it was a good film. It was about a real story in Philadelphia, an abortion doctor. Okay. and how many like some like the women that had died during the abortions, they were hiding it. He was doing abortions illegally. Like, it was all this crazy shit.
Is it based on a true story?
It's based on a true story. This guy is
Okay.
serving like 3 life sentences or something. This doctor.
Shit.
So what's crazy about it is that the movie came out. In its first weekend, it was doing really well in the theaters that took it in the States because it was an independent film, let's say. It was like one of the top 3 grossing or whatever in those theaters. And then after that week, when it started to get publicity, a lot of theaters started to pull the movie, even though it was higher grossing than a lot of the movies that were already there. And then this whole thing started about how it became a political thing. They go, no, we can't have a movie that's gaining traction that talks that much shit about abortions. And then he came out, he's like, what? We made a fucking good movie and it's based on a true story. He's like, and the people aren't giving us proper excuses. Like, theaters took us out that they were making money off us in there. Like, they chose to not make money. He goes, it doesn't.
Yeah, that's odd.
Yeah, it doesn't fucking make sense. Like, who's making up the difference for them? You know, who would make up the difference for them? You know what I mean? Because a theater, if it's a business, you'd think they'd be like, we want to make money. So
Yeah, but the reward was probably bigger to take it out.
But what's the reward? You're a theater.
But let's say you keep that movie in. Maybe a lot of people will boycott that theater. So in the end, they'll end up losing more money because people won't go because they're like, oh, they support that type of movie.
They support anti-abortion. Or I don't know if it was anti-abortion. It was more. They were just giving a true story about that guy, that doctor.
Right.
And it's fucking crazy that they would pull it.
It's funny how like they'll like hide the truth. Like,
yeah, it's just say the truth and let people make up their own. Say the truth and let me make up my mind. So we'll have different perceptions. But if you give me the truth, at least I'll know where we all stand.
Of course.
You know. But if you try to hide the truth, then that just makes me suspicious. Like, I didn't care about this movie before. And now I want to watch it when I can because I'm curious to see what the fuck it shows that made these people so angry they wanted to pull out of theaters. Mm-hmm. You know? Before that, I wouldn't have cared. So it's kind of like the Canada Goose thing. They're counterproductive. Not that I would go buy a Canada Goose because I saw protesters.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? It drew attention to the movie.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, what could they have possibly said in a true life story that would ask them to pull it out of theaters? Or, you know, get them to conspire to get out of the major ones?
Yeah. But I mean, that was back in the day, right? Now it's changing.
This came out now. This came out a few months ago. This just happened a few months ago.
Oh, I thought you meant 90s.
Yeah, this happened now. This guy was a 90s
wow.
actor, but his movie just came out now.
Everything.
That's what I'm saying.
I
This
was like,
just
oh, but
happened.
now we're more like
This
woke.
just happened. That's what I'm saying. It just happened like 2 months ago or something.
wow.
It was recent. That's why I saw him on TV talking about it. And I was like, what's he saying? And then I was like, what's this movie? And I looked it up. And then when he was like, yeah, they were making money off us the first week. And then as soon as it started gaining traction, they started pulling us out.
Wow.
And I was like, fuck, that's suspicious. That's a weird.
Like what are they hiding?
I think they just don't want
The
to.
bodies of the women.
But there's a lot of there's a lot of money at play too. Like, it's not like Canada. Like in the States, there's the pharmaceutical companies, you know, everything. Whether it's Planned Parenthood, everybody has their own agendas. It's not always like pharmaceutical companies like to pretend it's all about the health of the end consumer. It's
but
not.
nothing is about something else than money.
Exactly.
Nothing.
They make it seem like it's humanitarian.
Yeah.
It's never.
No.
Do you remember, back in the day, I guess they told you this when we were growing up, what they did to Africa when the Pope got involved? There was the AIDS crisis. And then they told them not to wear condoms. Mm-hmm. And that just made it worse. Do you remember this? But
it brings a bell. Yeah.
This was a thing when I was growing up, and I was like, what the fuck then? But if you're saying that you care about people, if you really cared about people, you'd put one dumb part of your ideology aside to make sure that this virus doesn't spread. Mm-hmm. You know, you wouldn't be like, oh, if you like God, you wouldn't wear a condom. But then what do you expect's going to happen if that disease is sexually transmitted and they're going to have sex? What do you think is going to fucking happen? So little things like that where
but then they can try to like treat them and get the medical.
Oh yeah, who knows? It could have been Big Pharma that was part of that. They're like, listen, Pope.
I think they're part of a lot more than we think. Maybe I'm being paranoid or like conspiracy.
No,
you're. But I feel like they're involved in a lot of things that like we think we have control over where we don't. For example, I mean that might be an obvious one, but like all those cancer walks. What do you think that's doing? And I find it a bit sad because like I see people that are close to people that died of cancer and like they'll go on all these walks and raise money and I'm like, God damn, like it's sad to see that you have hope for this.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just too negative, but
I know exactly what you're saying. I've had people die of cancer around me, and I know that the walks is more of a self, like how do I do something to show or to give back? You know what I mean? So people
what do you think they're doing with that money?
Oh, that's the thing. They're not, but again, disassociating with that result. They're just like, what can I do? My friend died, my relative died, or whatever. What can I do?
Right.
This is apparently going to help raise money. I'm down to it. So it's 100% coming from a great place.
Oh yeah,
It's like UNICEF.
no.
When we were young, we used to get when we were trick or treating. You had that too,
Yeah, I had that.
where you would get change.
Yeah.
That fucking money never reached those kids, right? Never. But we thought as kids doing it, we thought we were doing the right thing. So our agenda was pure.
Yeah.
You know, the people, the
But
powers
I feel
that be
like that's
weren't.
where like we're being. I mean, I don't know why I'm like bringing this up, but I feel like, you know, like for example, Big Pharma will think they're giving us control, but really they're just making us think that we have it.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, like you'll think you're doing the right thing, but really you're just giving them money.
Yeah. Most of it is what you said before. Most of it goes down to money. And for Big Pharma, what you said about them conspiring and, is it a conspiracy or you're paranoid? You actually do have a point because I used to look into this shit a lot, especially after 9/11. Like, because I didn't trust Bush, I didn't trust Cheney, and then the more I would look into it, the more I realized that Cheney is a real piece of garbage, because he was doing stuff that not Bush. Bush was just a doofus. Bush was just he didn't make any decisions. But he took all the blame though. It was amazing because he was president.
Of course.
But the guy making the decisions was fucking Dick Cheney, the guy who shot his friend in the face. So you know what's crazy about him is that he was. So when they, like Halliburton, where he. You know how nuts it is to give contracts to a company that you were in charge of while you're fucking vice president. You give them, and once you're done, you get a bonus from. It's so fucking crazy that you would start a war, get people to rebuild a country, and then the people rebuilding it are paying you for the. It's convoluted. But same thing with the FDA. There's certain things that got through that they were pushed to go through the FDA that, you can put this in food, like aspartame, for example, which aspartame is a carcinogen as far as I know, right? It's a carcinogen, it's cancer. I said in Greek, carcino, but it's carcinogen in English. It's instead of sugar, they're like, we got a replacement. We got this, is sweet, and it doesn't make you fat, but it causes cancer. But that's fine. And they knew this at the time. But they packed because it was cheaper. There was a lot of money to be made, right? So they get these companies lobby for it. These companies are like, no, put this through because we need to sell this, and this.
Yeah.
And then people, me and you, the end product, don't know. So I remember when there was that whole low fat craze, and people were like, no sugar added, and they were using replacements. They were using aspartame. So it's like, okay, you're not getting refined sugar. You're gonna get cancer in this, but they don't tell you it's that, right?
No.
Same thing now with sugars, right? When they say low fat.
Even if they tell you, you see those. I mean, especially in the States, you'll see those ads where like, take this medication, but also might give you
side effect
cancer,
is death,
stroke, suicide. Like, what? But people were like, I need that medication. I'll just take other medication to counter effect those.
It's fucking the worst is a psych medication that you take if you're fucked, and then it tells you side effects might include like suicidal thoughts. It's like that's what I'm trying to escape. What are you giving me? Side effects are the real effects of what I already have. It's insanity, but there's so much money at play. They don't like you to fuck with their money. Same thing with cancer when they're doing these walks and they're like, let's cure cancer. I hate to say it, but the truth is the people that you're giving money to have no vested interest in curing cancer.
They have interest in making money.
Yeah, they have interest in making you survive as long as possible.
So that's you can buy more medication.
That's the truth. That's I'm not saying it's right. I hate that. I want that kind of shit to be cured, but they don't have an interest in that. That would be, if you think they have an interest in that, you're an idiot.
There's no money in curing cancer
at all. No, then it's cured.
Why would they?
Same thing with AIDS, right? It's just about cured. Like right now, if you have HIV or whatever, if you have enough money to get the like Magic Johnson type of shit, right? You live your life like there's nothing there, even though the virus is still like dormant or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
So if you have enough money, you'll teeter. You're right there. You're at the, they'll suppress it as much as they can with money.
Yeah.
No one's going to go that extra mile. I'll be like, no, you don't need us anymore. We need your monthly fucking donations. We need you to keep getting these fucking pills. We need you to keep getting these injections. Yeah. And that's where and you just have to think about it. It's like a recurring thing, like Netflix. Why would Netflix tell you, give us $50 for a lifetime subscription? They're like, no, we'll take $10 from you every month.
A subscription to Netflix, to medication, to
everything. That's how they make their money, or else they're going to go out of business.
Like, I'm super interested in this, and like I research this shit all the time, but like, my family is totally in another world with this. It's very like, they think of me, I think that I'm like a bit nuts.
Oh, you're the hippie. You're the conspiracy
I'm the
theorist.
hippie. I'm like the, like, yeah.
You're the wacky fucking, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Because they're like, oh, well, we'll just eat steak and call it a day kind of thing. Not that it, anyway. So, and my dad has high cholesterol, right? Which is super common. But the other day we were eating, and he was eating this very, like, unhealthy meal. And I was like, why do you eat that if, you have high cholesterol? It's like, well, I take pills for it. I'm like,
oh.
And you know what you could do to stop
taking the pills?
Taking the pills? Like, you're not going to change like a 50-something-year-old man's
nutrition.
Yeah. I mean, he never learned how to cook, like, whatever. But it's just, it drives me crazy that I see my family, like, high cholesterol, diabetes, Alzheimer's, and I'm like, there's things we can do here, and I'll gladly help with, I mean, I'm no doctor, but, like, like I said, like, I've researched so much of it, and I'm like, I'm sure I could, like, just let me help you.
Especially for nutrition, because now, especially if you want to educate yourself, there's so much that we know now that we didn't know back in the day.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, I still remember that gaining weight people thought it was just about calories. So they would just be like, if you, they never thought about the sugar in it was the calories.
Yeah.
Do you remember this?
Diet Coke.
Yeah.
It's just no calories.
The craziest thing now we're like, that's insane. That's not how that works.
Yeah.
Right? You could gain a lot more weight if you fuck around with that shit. And we didn't know back in the day. Back in the day, everybody would eat garbage and they wouldn't know. They're like, oh, no, it's temporary. Like no long-term effects of you eating that refined sugar. They're going to get hyper, the kids. And now we know so much, like, especially for little kids, that kind of sugar, it's terrible for them while they're growing, while their bodies are growing. That shit fucks with, it's like cocaine for them. Yeah. Fucks with the receptors. I didn't know that shit growing up. I had no idea.
No.
Nobody ever mentioned that.
You ate Fruit Loops in the morning.
Yeah, I didn't know.
That's...
All that shit was killing me.
Again, weight. There's a lot of money in confusion. There's a lot of money in, like, conflicting information. And, like, there's the people that will invest money in, like, buying, like, for example, normal medication, like Western medication, and there's a lot of people that will spend a lot of money on natural medication, and they're both just making money.
Yeah.
Really. Because they're confusing us. They're like, oh, but they're saying this and they're saying that. And I'm like, maybe it comes down to your values or whatever, but you're like, I tend to believe more this person, and I tend to believe more that person. So I'll try their supplements. I'll try their, whatever they're telling me to try. And, basically it's the whole, like, the government will give us money from work and stuff. We'll work, they'll give us money, and just so we can give it back to them by spending it back.
To us, I mean, well, the government here is very good at just taking your money. So the government will make sure that 40% of your fucking money goes to them.
Yeah, but that's the thing. What do you do with that 60%? You'll do groceries?
Yeah.
What's on your groceries?
Taxes. Yeah.
Back.
Everything here is a lot of people in the States who like listen to Two Drink Minimum. They freak out when I talk about how badly, especially in Quebec, we're taxed. It's if they live in Texas or in Florida, especially, they get really pissed off because they don't pay taxes. I think they only have at the they only pay one tax, Florida and Texas.
Yeah, but then
I think they pay a state tax.
If you got a flu and you go to the clinic, they'll pay like $2,000 or whatnot.
Right, the privatized healthcare. But most people, what they do is because they save that money. Like even here, if they weren't taking 40% of your paycheck, you'd be able to pay for health insurance and go to a private clinic.
Point, yeah.
That's what people hear. People are like, oh, private is terrible. Private is not terrible. I went to the private clinic here one time, and it was fucking like $450 just one shot. But everything happened. That's to take your tests, to get back to you, all that.
Yeah, it's more in-depth.
And it was a nice place. It was a clean place. And that's why they're opening up. My buddy who's in the government told me this. Apparently, they're not supposed to in Quebec have both private and public. I don't know if you knew this, but the way our charter works, it kind of contradicts itself. It's either you're public healthcare or you privatize it. But the reason why they have both is because of all the strain that's on the public sector. Remember, they're not paying doctors, the nurses. We haven't crisis. There's a shortage of nurses. The government doesn't want to give money to get more nurses. So what's happening is the government here saw. They're like, oh, this is teetering. We're gonna have trouble. So that's why they allowed they had to allow private clinics to set up. You weren't able to just open up a private clinic. They had to allow this to happen because they saw that through the years, gradually, we were gonna have a problem. because they knew that the way we're running the public system isn't working. And I think we're gonna eat it in the long term, because now people here don't have a lot of money in Quebec. They're getting taxed hard, so their take home money is not, especially if you're a single parent, if you have important expenses that you can't stray away from. So what's gonna happen when you can't even afford private healthcare? So your kid needs something, and it'll take fucking forever. It'll take 6 months for something that if you had, let's say, $800 or $1,000, you could get in a week. It's gonna cause a big problem here.
Yeah.
So that's why if they would take 40% of my money, but we'd be good, I could go to a fucking hospital and I'd be fine. That's fine with me. Kids would get educated. The streets are fixed. I have no problem giving that money away. The fact that nothing gets done, let me keep that money. Let me pay for health insurance. Let me start a fucking fund for these goddamn roads, or let me choose whether I think my money should go to education, roads, or healthcare.
Because now we have like no choice, right?
No, they don't even tell you where it goes. There's some countries in socialist countries in like Northern Europe, I think Finland, that in your statements at the end of the year, it shows how much percentage of your money went to what.
So that's dope. But that's one of those Scandinavian countries that they have the highest quality of life, right?
Yeah, I think Finland. But then you have to live in fucking Finland or whatever, so it's not all good. You know what I mean? So, and they're also different. They're homogenous. Like those are. It's different lifestyle, and it's a different world too. Because if you think about it, here in Canada, to globally put something on someone is a little strange, because we're all different people. Like a lot of people don't like to admit it, but Quebec has its own culture. Quebec is different from the rest of Canada. Quebecers, right? And then within Quebec, you have subcultures. There's Greeks, there's Arabs, there's what. So it's kind of hard to homogenize everyone with the same social ideas, because they don't all have the same social ideas.
Yeah, because no one agrees. Right?
Yeah, no one agrees. Whereas Finland, like, look, it works. Yeah, but that's 99% white Scandinavian people.
Yeah,
they all have
that grew up there and that have that's all they know, right?
That's all they know is riding around in bicycles in the snow and being like, we can't do that shit here.
But it's been shown that they're the happiest people in the world.
If I see someone riding his bike in the snow here, I want to kill them.
Yeah. There was this, it reminds me, I saw this article of, in Ontario, this Catholic lady put a complaint at the school. I don't even know if she's taking them to court or whatnot. Anyway, basically, she was complaining that at the school, they were giving the kids a yoga class. And she's like, I'm Catholic, and that comes from Hinduism, so I don't want my kid to do yoga.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so I don't know. I forget if she's taking them to court or like
I don't know
taking the kid out of school or what.
I don't know if you should do all that.
I don't think they're teaching them Hinduism more as like the fitness part of it.
You know what's crazy? She does have a far reach, like it's a stretch, where she does have a point on one end, like don't teach my kids something I don't want you. Like
but
whatever.
You're like paying for.
It is so stupid.
A global education system.
You know the problem is.
So you agree to give your kid that same education that everyone does.
Yeah.
So there's gonna be every religion there.
But it's not. Here's the thing. I don't think it's religious yoga. In my the way we do it here,
I don't
it's
think
exercise.
they're teaching them. Yeah, exactly.
The problem is, I remember how I told you before. Some people they're coming from a good place. She thinks it's in her head. It's indoctrination. In her head, she's like, they're converting my kid to something else. So as stupid as it is, I get her fear if it was real. Like, they're trying to make my kid Jehovah's Witness or whatever. But it's not the case. That's the hard thing. It's like, how do you argue with this woman? Like, lady, do you want to sit in a yoga class just to see what it is? Like, it just stretches. No, I'm not going to sit in that devil shit. So it's very hard to argue with people like that. That's the fucked up thing. Those people, when they've made up their minds, what we were talking before, same thing. There's certain subjects, abortion being one of them. There's certain people that no matter what you tell them, what you talk about, nutrition, same thing, they refuse. Like meat and all that, the biggest argument is...
Man, tell me about it.
Shut up. Why are you even talking? We've been eating it for this many years. There's no problem with it. You could eat whatever you want as long as it's not, refined sugar. As long as it's not chemical shit, you should be able to eat it and it's fine. And then you have to explain, but back in the day also when we would eat meat, you realize we wouldn't eat meat 3 times a day.
No. You kill one animal, right?
Yeah.
And it lasts you for 3 months or whatnot.
So think about your gut. Think about your gut though. You eat every part. That's another thing because there's different nutrients that you get.
Now the meat that we're eating is empty. It's just flesh.
Yes.
It's nothing. It's not that nutritious.
Have you ever eaten real organic, like from a farm, like people who butcher it and you eat that meat?
No.
In Greece, okay? I've eaten animals that I've seen alive and then murdered and then eaten. Mm-hmm. Most delicious thing you're ever gonna eat. Yeah. Also, the guiltiest you're ever gonna feel.
Yeah, because you see the whole process.
Yeah, you see the whole process, but you realize that we're eating garbage here. when you taste it,
Oh yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is this? This is delicious. How do you not eat meat? But also there too, it's more of a, they're not killing something every day on the farm to eat it. You know, again, it's preserved. It's like, yeah, we cut this much. We have the ribs for this day. We have this.
Yeah.
Whereas now you can eat meat 3-4 times a day. And then it has a lot in our intestines. It causes a lot of problems too. Like I said, the red meat, that it gets stuck and it takes you a while to get rid of it. You're not supposed to hold on to something in your stomach for 3 weeks before you shit it out. You know, it's terrible for you. You get bloated. It's not good for you. But it's available, so we eat it, and we don't think about it. You're like, oh, I'll have this at the restaurant. Oh, I'll have this. I'll have, you know,
because you see it as your meal.
Yeah.
You don't see it as anything else.
what it does, the extra.
Yeah, and
The
that's why
science.
it's hard to speak. Like you said, like any type of subject that, whether it's religion, politics, nutrition, whatnot, like you can't talk with people that have tunnel vision. Like,
Yeah.
man, someone in my family, actually my sister told me this. The other day I was feeling like, I don't know, I was just like not in the mood, whatever. Just one of those days. And my sister told me that she was told like, oh, you know, Tatyana's probably not feeling well because of the way she eats.
Like a goddamn hippie. She's out there eating leaves off trees.
Yeah.
Now that all the leaves fell off, she's depressed.
And it's funny because, you know, you'll see her eating McDonald's and shit. I'm like, but what about all those people that have bad days that eat meat? Well, how do you justify that? Like, why is it automatically you associate my behavior with
Your
with
food
what I
intake.
eat?
I don't think it has anything to do. Everybody has a bad day.
Of
Sometimes
course.
I'm angry for no reason.
Of course. Yeah.
It's a lot though, which is not healthy. But it's sometimes you're just mad for no reason, and then somebody's like, "Are you mad at me?" You're like, "Honestly, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm mad, but not at you.
Yeah.
It's just in general. I'm just
Yeah. People take things so personally where like how does my behavior or what I put in my plate affect you? Like, I'll be happy to talk about it if you ask me, but like, don't just go around and be like, oh, it's probably because of this. You don't know. You don't know anything. You didn't research it as much as I did. Like, how? Anyway, it's frustrating. But
you're in the wrong industry in comedy then, because you're gonna get a lot of people who just hate you just to hate you.
oh, of course, I'm sure a lot of people hate me. I don't know.
It's nobody's told me, but I mean, I'm 100% sure of it because I know how a lot of people are, and it's the strangest fucking thing where people think that your success
Is a threat to them.
yeah, it's like their failure, which is the
Yeah.
strangest thing, especially whether it's fitness, whether it's comedy, stuff that's 100% you, like it's a product that you're putting
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
I could, like KFC, for example, you know, they're specialized in whatever the fuck chicken they do, right? They actually don't have a competition with Pizza Hut. They don't.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to be like, oh, there's better pizza at they're two different things. They're both restaurants, but if you want KFC, you want KFC. You're not going to sell for Pizza
Yeah.
Hut and vice versa. So they're not going to make attack ads. They're like, it has nothing to do with me. I'm just going to do me better, and that's fine. I'm using the fast food analogy because we're talking about nutrition.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny. Same thing with what we're offering, like, you know, podcasting, comedy, all that. You have your own set. You have your subjects you talk about.
Yeah.
You have your unique point of view. That's you.
Yeah.
You're selling yourself. If you're successful, you have a lot of good shows or whatever. It doesn't take away from the next person, even the next person who's talking about nutrition or whatever the fuck, you know. It doesn't take away from them because that's a unique product that you're putting out. Unless you're copying someone, right? Then I could see people getting mad. But your product, for people to be mad at you because, oh, how come his product is more successful than mine? They're different products. They're not taking anything away from you. But they don't see it like that. And those are the
No.
people who they stay in.
They're insecure, really. It's deeper than that. They're like, you know, they'll judge you for something, but you have to ask yourself why.
Yeah.
You know, why am I jealous of this person's success? Is it because I'm not successful? Is it because like I wish I was them? Why do you wish you were them? Because you think you're not good enough? Like, you know, you could go a long way with asking why, and then it comes down to really something inside of them or that whoever, you know, that's why like with comedy or fitness or whatever, like it's easy to say we don't care, but we kind of care, but we don't. But like I just always come down to anything that anyone else does has nothing to do with me.
Exactly, yeah.
Because everyone is out there for themselves.
Yeah.
So, you know.
I think it's how you deal. I think it's the same people when you look at them, how they deal with difficult situations. Because everything that motivated me to do everything I've done was never pats on the back. You know what motivated me? People who told me I couldn't do something.
Lack thereof.
Yeah, it was the opposite. That's what people don't understand. So for me, when people like give hate or whatever, this and that, it doesn't have the effect of, oh, I should stop doing it. For me, it's the complete opposite. It's complete opposite.
Yeah.
If you didn't want me to do well, you should have shut your mouth 10 years ago. You know, like you're the one who started this.
A lot of people thrive on that.
I thrive on it. I want that because like I'll prove you fucking wrong.
Yeah.
And the worst is when you find those people that they realize late, like, oh fuck, I'm the one. This is my fault. I didn't want him to do well, but I talked so much shit that now he's just doing well. You know. And it depends how you see it. Other people, it's the opposite. They need the pat on the back.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, I'll keep going because I got a pat on the back. I'm not looking for anyone's validation.
Yeah.
And a lot of people
But
aren't.
at the same time, I think all comedians are looking for everyone's
Only the
validation.
audience. I only care about fans, the people who are consuming what I'm giving.
Yeah.
I care about their point
Not
of
your
view.
colleagues, right? Because your colleagues are...
The colleagues can go fuck themselves because the colleagues are either I know them and we're friends with the colleagues, or we're not going to get along. And so I don't care. If it's my friend, they could give me negative criticism and it'll be good for me. You know, even because it's not going to come from a bad place. You know, it'll be like, oh, this joke or try this or whatever. It's always going to be, it moves you forward. And if it's from a person that doesn't like me anyway, what the fuck do I care? They don't like me anyway. You're negative. Of course you have a negative. The only difference is that now you're making it public. I don't give a shit that you said it.
Yeah.
I
And it says more a
expected
lot
nothing
about
less.
them than you, really.
Yeah, I expected nothing less. You don't like me, and you just publicly said you don't like me, or I'm a shitty person, or fuck my podcast or my stand-up. But that's what I expected from someone who doesn't like me. That it's, you know, if you have two enemies, what do you expect? You know, that's so to me it doesn't stop me. To me it motivates me.
Yeah.
But the validation that I need is from the people that are consuming what I'm giving.
Yeah.
If they don't like it, then I'll adjust. But if like, say if the crowd likes it, I'm sure you've seen this too happen. Probably, have you ever had a set where you had like the crowd liked it, like let's say you had a good set and it was like, oh, you feel good about yourself. But then a comic is kind of taking digs, like, oh, maybe you should do this or maybe you should have said this, and you're like, yeah, you didn't like it, so you're giving me. But the people that are buying the tickets, liked it.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to take advice from someone who cares, and then like, oh, you know, we'll get a bigger laugh, this and this. But for somebody to tell you, oh no, that's not right. You should have said this. That's not funny. But it's not funny to you. But the people that paid their money, they're laughing.
Exactly.
So who the like that? That comes from a bad place. Because I could tell the difference between constructive criticism. When somebody, and some people have helped a lot, they're like, oh man, you know, we'll get you real laughs.
Yeah.
Put this tag here, and like, oh fuck, that's so smart. I didn't think about that.
Sometimes you don't see everything.
It's so obvious.
Yeah.
That I love. I love that because that's the experimenting with comedians. I do it to them too sometimes. Like, you know, it would work here if you do this. But never when somebody's like, nah, that joke, I don't know why you said it. It's not that funny. It's like, but they laugh. Like, nah, you should think of something else. And they don't have anything positive. They're just like, nah, just don't say it.
Yeah.
When
okay,
really,
so what's your solution then?
What's your solution?
I just stopped doing comedy because it pleases you?
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Or a joke that they don't like the premise of. And they're like, that, you shouldn't joke about that. It's like, why? Oh, because it's not funny. Okay, because you don't like that premise. It bothers you, but they laughed.
Yeah.
So did it bother you that I said it, or did it bother you that I said it and they laughed?
At the same time, you have to filter because in one audience, like there's individuals, right?
Yeah.
So maybe one or two people will come up to you.
And
like
it's
the
fine.
people that loved it, maybe they'll just walk out and not say anything, and then that one person comes up and be like, I didn't like that.
Which is fine too.
Which is fine, yeah. You have to.
Because most people also, when they do that, they, again, we only talk about the extreme cases. So a lot of the stuff they'll hear about on the podcast or whatever is if I talk about an extreme person that came up to me and was really upset. But in general, most of the people that will come up to you, even if they have like some criticism, it's not going to come from a bad place. They'll be like, oh, you know, and you know, when you talked about this, you know, I have a kid that does this or whatever. But it's never from like a fuck you. It's like, just so you know, or they'll even say like, I didn't laugh too much, but just so you know, that was the only joke I didn't laugh at because of this and this.
Yeah.
I liked everything else.
That's
but
fine.
That's fine. That's perfect. They have their opinions. They have their own perception of life. So certain things aren't going to hit us harder. They're going to make them feel a different way. That's perfectly reasonable. But it's not the same as just throwing hate for no reason. You know, like people that have their arms crossed and they just don't like
they
you.
just don't want to laugh. This girl, I remember, I was doing this joke about eating disorders, and when we were talking at the beginning, when I was like 15 or so, I started gaining weight, and then I started like being super self-conscious. So I really tried to become anorexic and bulimic, and I didn't succeed.
You failed at being anorexic.
I failed at that. And so that's kind of where the joke came from, because I'm like, fuck, like I'm starting all these things, and even anorexia, I can't, you know, I can't succeed.
Can't do it. That's funny.
So that was what the joke was about. And after the show, I'm outside and this girl comes up to me. And at first I thought she was going to compliment me. So I was like, oh, hey. And she's like trembling. She's like, just so you know, a lot of people actually have eating disorders and that's really not funny. I was like,
holy shit.
You don't know me.
Oh, right away you get defensive.
No, but I'm like, oh, well, the reason I chose to talk about that is because that's how I experienced it. And I actually had that thing and it happened to me and that's my truth and that's why I'm sharing it.
I made a joke out of my situation.
And that's how I deal with it because looking back, I'm like, yeah, it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with you.
No, but they take it personal. Like, oh,
she
knows.
They take it personal. And she's like, well, it's not funny. And then she just walks away. And then Chori was outside with me and he's like, what is she going to do? Go home and not eat?
Yeah, exactly. What's she going to do? Boycott what? Boycott a restaurant in your honor? So stupid. Yeah, these these people are just they're hateful to be hateful.
Because the thing is that comedy has to be relatable, right? So they go there to be told things about themselves that they didn't realize, right?
Yeah.
So when you tell them something that they expected to relate to
in a different light, they expect to relate to it in a positive. They didn't expect to be the butt end of the joke. Mm-hmm. So she thought she was going to get jokes that she could relate to. She didn't realize that she's going to relate so hard, and she's going to be the butt end of that joke because she has that disorder.
Yeah,
That's what fucked with her.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's funny.
It is. No, but you have to be. I mean, you've been in you know how it is, like in the green room. Some of the funniest stuff that's said to me sometimes are just jokes against me, like people making fun of me, right? Like my friends, like comics fucking around. And some of the funniest shit that's said is, just a joke about me. Just because we're fucking around and I say something and it's like that's perfect for someone to shit on me for. And that's the perfect joke. And then it makes me laugh because that's a funny joke. It's not, oh, what the fuck, man? Like, well, no, that's insane. That was the funny joke. We had the opening. That's how comics think. You say something and there's an opening. It's a reflex to take that ball and slam dunk it home, right? Or we do it as friends too. That's if you're hanging out with a bunch of comics, all it is ripping each other. Yeah. I mean, my friends in comedy, I know there's a lot that get offended. They're like, oh, don't say that. But the people I hang out with in comedy, it's just fucking bullying. It's brutal. But it's hilarious. I love it. Yeah. I love it because it comes from a good place. Yeah. So that's that. Any what's your handle on Instagram and Twitter?
On Twitter, it's Tila Soul.
It's I'm putting it in the description anyway, but I'm getting you to say it in case people are just listening.
Oh, okay.
So that and they don't want to look through it.
And on IG, it's Fitty Wits.
Fitty Wits.
It used to be Titty Wits.
What happened to Titty Wits?
Well, it's because when I started fitness, I was like, oh, let me just change the first letter.
Fitty. Okay, I get it.
But that name originally came from CJAP. My friends started calling me that.
Titty Wits?
Yeah. It was because Tatyana, Tati, Titty, Wits.
That's a weird evolution.
Yeah. And it just became so benign. Some my friends would just be outside and be like, yo, tit. And then I'd turn around and other people would turn around because they're like, what the
tits?
fuck?
Oh my God.
But to me, it didn't mean, it just meant me.
It could have gone deeper. It could have evolved into ISIS, and then that's it. Just add ISIS, and then you would have some explaining to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got those in the description. Yeah. You can check out Tatyana. So she does comedy. She's also into fitness. Check out her Instagram. If you're in Montreal and you need a trainer, fucking DM her.
Yeah,
people are gonna slide into those DMs.
Slide in. I also have my email on Facebook and Instagram. So.
Okay, so I'm gonna include all that shit. So that they can go to it.
We didn't talk much about fitness, though.
We did. We started with fitness. Then we talked about abortions. We talked about Dick Cheney. We talked about food, poison, cancer. We talked about cancerous people who don't support. They just hate. And then we ended on a positive note by talking about tits. And then ISIS. I mentioned ISIS. I did that as well.
Yeah. They're really correlated.
It's the same. ISIS and tits.
Yeah.
Tits are ISIS of the body. Think about that. So thank you guys for listening. Remember, this podcast is available everywhere. Spotify, iTunes, fucking YouTube, off the website, panteliscomedy.com. If you want to know more about Two Drink Minimum, the #1 podcast on the planet right now, you head over to compoundmedia.com. Use promo code Canada20. That's Canada20. You get 20% off. On iTunes, we release Two Drink Minimum one-shots every week. They're small episodes right under a half hour, and that's in the top 20 now, always on iTunes. So even the 30-minute episodes are doing well, which is insane. Thank you guys very much for that. And that's it. That's all I'm going to fucking sell you. Head over to panteliscomedy.com for more. Thank you for listening.